GearNetwork.com.
The following is a presentation of the Gear Radio Network.
From wherever we decide studios, broadcasted live on iTunes, Spreaker, and worldwide, this is the Turnbuckle Talk Radio Podcast with your host, the producer, Pat G. The G stands for Gangsta. And now kick back and get ready for the eargasms.
Gentlemen, welcome to a brand new edition of the TTRP. We took a little bit of time off because we had personal life stuff going in there, but boy, do we have a lot to cover because we are officially on the road to WrestleMania amongst everything else, New Japan, Impact Wrestling, ROH, and NWA Power. So much wrestling to cover, but we're going to start it off right and ripe with the WWE Royal Rumble, and of course, the storyline of the night, Brock Lesnar coming in at number one, and then essentially doing what Brock Lesnar told people that he was going to do, and start eliminate everyone, until a little bit of karma and a Irish psychopath decided that they're stopping that train.
Oh my God, let's talk about the Rumble match, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to tell you, it was one of the most, despite what people say, one of the most entertaining Royal Rumble matches in a long time, because you had the Beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar, calling his shot, saying, I am going to last till the end. And, you know, on commentary, they talked about it being a story of two Royal Rumbles, because there was the Royal Rumble prior to the Scottish psychopath Drew McIntyre's entrance into the Rumble.
Yep.
At number 14. And then the story afterward, which was the ring actually filling up with competitors, because Brock Lesnar did what Brock Lesnar does. Brock Lesnar threw sons of bitches over the top rope right and left. It didn't matter who you were, whether you were Shinsuke Nakamura, Bobby Roode, Big E, Kofi Kingston, Rey Mysterio. Dude, you went flying. Your body went elsewhere.
John Morrison, MVP.
Yup. It was a who's who of dudes. Just what Keith Lee showed up.
Braun Strowman showed up too, and they both got tossed.
I mean, Brock Lesnar was doing what Brock Lesnar does best. He was throwing bitches. And then what happens? I believe, if I'm not mistaken, when we talked about Royal Rumble predictions, both you and I were very heavily leaning towards Drew McIntyre winning.
Oh,
and
yes,
Drew
we were.
McIntyre goes in there, and with a little help of a little bit of a low blow from King Ricochet, a Claymore to the face later, Brock Lesnar flies over the top rope, lands on his face, tumbles in front of the announce table. King Ricochet gets thrown out of the ring, and Drew McIntyre is dead staring at the Beast incarnate, and the crowd loved it. Beautiful story.
And
Beautiful story in what they did with building Brock Lesnar up, where at first people were like, yeah, and then people were like, no, this is not what we want.
Yeah, he's running the gauntlet.
Effectively running the gauntlet. And they did a beautiful job of making McIntyre's Claymore kick to the face matter. Because once you started getting rid of guys like Kofi, Big E, Rey Mysterio, Braun Strowman, Keith Lee, once you started getting rid of these fan favorites, people were like, this is kind of bullshit. Like, is this going to be our Royal Rumble? Is he actually are they actually going to have him throw everyone out. And then the best part was Drew McIntyre, who has worked his ass off for the last several years since coming back to NXT and WWE, establishing himself as a great promo man, a great in-ring competitor. He was an NXT champion. He's faced Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. The dude has got it in spades, and he has worked his ass off after getting fired from WWE several years back to come back and headline WrestleMania. We don't know if he's main eventing, but to headline WrestleMania against arguably one of the, this is hard for me to say, one of the greatest professional wrestlers of the modern age.
I can agree with that.
Lesnar.
I can agree with that.
Okay.
And what was nice is after McIntyre eliminated Lesnar, and Lesnar kind of finally got up and like cleared the cobwebs, so to speak. The camera work that was done, where they had the camera there, and Lesnar's like, "All right," and he looked back at McIntyre and he's like, "All right, I see you, kid. I got you." And he walked away. Like, he gave you that nod of like, okay.
But the best part about that is it would have meant nothing had a couple competitors come in and Brock left.
Oh yeah.
What made that scene beautiful was that McIntyre looked at Brock the whole time. The Miz showed up, got thrown out, went right back to looking at Brock Lesnar, almost as if to say, you know, you've been running the show for far too long.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And Drew McIntyre, size-wise, he might not have the upper body of a Brock Lesnar. Very few guys do. But size-wise, comparable to be able to take him down. And mind you, Brock Lesnar has thrown around a lot of big guys in his day. Big Show, Mark Henry, Braun Strowman, Keith Lee is a big dude. Like, you saw him and Brock together, and you're like, wow, that Keith is actually a monster himself.
People were on Twitter, like, when they had the stare off, and were like, yo, Brock Lesnar versus Keith Lee 2020, give me that match.
It'll happen. It'll happen because Keith Lee is one of those dudes who Paul Heyman would look at him and say, I would have had him in ECW.
That's true. But there's also a match that's not going to happen either.
Oh, okay. So let's get to that. Let's get to that in a few minutes because, you know, that's
after the fact.
That's after the fact. But then let's get into the second half of the Rumble, which was really an entirely different story.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. The winner of the Royal Rumble almost became secondary in the second half of the night because at number 21.
Yeah. That lying bastard.
Goosebumps, bitch. Goosebumps right now.
Yep.
Right now. Fury has goosebumps because I'm sitting there and it's like, you know, who's going to be number 21? You think you know me. And the crowd.
The crowd exploded, but then, and this is where Pat G's going to get on his soapbox. The shitty, ridiculous, goddamn, nonsensical WWE production team ruined everything.
Okay, Pat G, I'm going to allow you to rip them apart before I go back and at least praise them on something.
Because, for one, all right, there were numerous. I don't mind camera cuts. I don't, okay? Camera cuts are, in professional wrestling, are a thing. They're a thing in pro sports in general. But the fact that you camera cut every 5 goddamn seconds during a return that people were waiting for. We spent 9 years waiting for. Because there had been talks about it. You cut the camera at least 2 times during the entrance, and then all of a sudden, that very first move for Edge in 9 years, let's cut to a random person in the crowd. You miss it. I love the fact that that WWE showed there was the uncut footage on YouTube later that night to show that spear to Dolph Ziggler. But for crying out loud, the WWE production team ruins more shit on their television programs than anything in the world.
Okay, now, I am going to 100% agree with you. The fact that they cut away from the spear was flat out bullshit. Okay? One of the worst, almost as bad, okay? Almost as bad as keeping the camera on Roman Reigns when AJ Styles debuted at number 3 or number 4.
Yeah, number 3.
Number 3. Okay, something that even I had told someone 24 hours prior when I was asked, you think AJ Styles is going to show up? No, AJ Styles is not going to show up, and if he does, it's going to be in NXT. Well, Dan was wrong. I'll admit that. But anyway, that's beside the point. When you kept the camera on Roman Reigns' face, instead of showing the screen saying, I am phenomenal, and having the pop, but then, once again, they did what you were talking about, where they give you the uncut version, where they showed Roman's face, and then they showed a wide shot of the I am phenomenal, and it made up for it. But really, you're absolutely right. But let's talk about Edge. Okay. I defy any athletic competitor, any sports fan, any fanatic, any person, any fly-by-night, any fair-weather fan to tell me that the look on that man's face didn't punch you right in the feel button. Because in 2011, we got robbed of Edge.
Yeah.
Like, Edge was still in his prime. Edge was still having great matches. And unfortunately, you know, he was having nerve issues.
Yep.
And, you know, it's no secret that, you know, he took a chair shot and you watch the video, his arms crumple. You know, we've experienced that as professional wrestlers and referees, and you get hit and you're like, wow, that wasn't what I expected. Something's off.
Yep.
But Edge had to go out there a week after WrestleMania where he retained the World Heavyweight Championship in the opening match of WrestleMania in Atlanta, Georgia, and say, I'm done. And then he had to give his farewell speech in Albany, New York, you know, where he came up with the name Edge. And he had to walk away from something that he loved.
Yep.
Now, I know that he's made appearances and, you know, he's done spots and whatnot. And, you know, we always thought, is there going to be something for Edge? And he even talked about it when Daniel Bryan, he was very public about it. When Daniel Bryan came back and he said on his podcast that people have been contacting him and saying, is there hope for you? And he's like, I don't know, because Daniel Bryan's was, you know, clearly a different injury, just like Christian's, just like Paige's, just like different wrestlers who people would love to see have one more match.
Yeah.
Edge said
not everybody has the same neck injury.
Not everyone has the same neck injury. You know, Christian's is more of concussive damage.
Yep.
Paige had reconstructive surgery, came back thinking she was good, got kicked, and the whiplash effect caused her neck to go haywire. You can't say that these things are across the board the same. Luckily, medical science, and this is the point I want to get across.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit how much Edge paid for medical science to come through. Thank you to the doctors that cleared Edge to come back for this new 3-year contract. Thank you to the people that made this happen, because that was a genuine moment for every fan. But more importantly, you go back and you watch that moment and you see the look on Edge's face. Also thank Edge for the lovely playing WWE like a fiddle, because there were talks about AEW going, hey, money, here,
haha, money. And Edge going, hey, WWE, Vince, I got this deal. Give me what I want.
Like, they want to pay X. What do you want to do? Oh, we'll pay Y. Okay, see you later. And to me, the biggest thing was Edge. Edge is so WWE.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Edge is so WWE, it's not even funny. And to see the look on Edge's face when he walked through the curtain and he came out, and you could see the outpouring of emotion. And I even posted it on Facebook. Like, if you looked at Edge's hands, Edge, the nerves, the adrenaline were just causing his hands to twitch. And it's like you saw the look in his eyes, that love, that admiration from the people in Houston. It's like, dude, those moments are few and far between in life, and Edge and the WWE in this symbiotic relationship on one night, for one moment, for 20 goddamn seconds, had one of the most emotionally charged and genuine moments that dare I say, that WWE has experienced in a long time.
Oh, absolutely. And this is the thing. It's one of the things is take that pure emotion that we all had that night of the Royal Rumble when Edge's music hit and he came out and everything. And I thought, and like I said, I thought about it after the fact when the story, especially when the news reports came out that that AEW was talking to him and everything. You got to remember, Edge and Chris Jericho are pretty relatively good friends.
Yes.
As is Edge is relatively good friends with Cody Rhodes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So I thought about it when I saw that report. I'm like, I doubt that, and I can completely believe Edge realized this too. I doubt the impact of him returning to wrestling in a AEW ring compared to a WWE ring was apples to oranges.
It is, and really, this is no knock on AEW.
No, not at all.
This is not a knock on AEW at all. AEW wants to separate itself from the rest of the competition. Okay, AEW wants, and they have gone on record to say we don't want to compete. We want to be an alternative. Okay, then don't pick up every WWE legend that there is and throw them on your television. Like, yes, wrestling legends are wrestling legends, okay? Diamond Dallas Page wrestling in a 6-man tag match at 63, 65, 63, thank
63.
you. 63 years old on TNT makes more sense to me than Adam Copeland showing up at AEW Revolution when the main event is Jon Moxley versus
Chris Jericho.
Like, to me, if Edge would have come out and speared him, it would have been like, oh, another WWE guy, is that who they're going to push? You want to not do what WCW did, pulling all these guys,
and definitely don't want to do what Impact did.
Exactly. And furthermore, if I can just say this about WWE's medical staff, not taking anything away from AEW, once again, but WWE's medical staff in the return of Daniel Bryan, and Daniel Bryan talked about it at great lengths. Daniel Bryan, every time he wrestles, gets a full physical as soon as he leaves the ring.
Yep.
He doesn't talk to anyone. He grabs his shit. He walks to the back. He goes straight to the trainer's room. They do a full-on evaluation every single match. This is the care that Vince McMahon and Triple H and company are putting into their top guys. Daniel Bryan is younger than Edge by a decade at least.
Yeah.
Okay. He has beaten his body up maybe more in certain ways, but you have to remember Edge had a triple neck fusion.
Yep.
And he obviously had...
Edge had basically the same surgery Austin had.
Exactly. And we know that after Austin's neck surgery, really Austin lasted 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, if you go back to November of 1999 to October of 2000, really, Austin wrestled at an okay pace for about a year and a half after that. Took, the 8 months off?
Yep.
Came back, had 2 matches, and then retired. Okay? And, he was a stockier framed gentleman.
Yes, he was.
Austin, when I met him in 2003, Austin was still a brick shithouse. He was a big dude. Even just sitting there doing a book signing, Austin was a big guy. Edge is a fit guy, even at his highest point.
Tall and lanky.
He never had the neck thickness that a Stone Cold Steve Austin would have to hold all that in.
Yeah.
So, when he had his triple neck fusion, you have to take into consideration all of this was, and he did. He had it in 2003, and he maintained a main event level from 2004 until 2011, and not just a main event level, like a main event level still competing in signature matches that made him famous.
Yep.
So for Edge to come back, and from what I'm understanding of this 3-year deal, it's 3 years, 3 matches a year, 28 appearances a year. So really, you're probably looking at a Mania, a SummerSlam, and a Survivor Series. And of course the appearances around that. So really, not to be a dick, a Brock Lesnar schedule.
Yeah.
Okay, for $3 million a year, so $9 million. Okay, which will set him up forever. Plus, he already does the other stuff with WWE. So really, it's a really sweet Legends deal.
He's basically. I'm gonna say this: him and Beth Phoenix have are set for life.
Yes, because Beth Phoenix can come back, throw women out. We'll get to Beth Phoenix in a second.
Yeah.
Edge can come back, do this for the next 3 years, be set for life.
Yep.
Beth Phoenix has got a sweet commentary deal. Let's be honest. Beth Phoenix is a great commentator.
I will say this, her working with Mauro Ranallo and Nigel McGuinness in NXT has helped her in leaps and bounds.
And more importantly than that, I will go on record to say, and this is not a knock on Renee Young, of the 2 commentators, I thought Beth Phoenix brought more to the table. Although Renee was a sports analyst type, I felt, and with an analyst background,
yeah,
I feel that Beth Phoenix, being the Gorilla Monsoon of women's commentators,
yep,
and that's a high praise.
Yeah.
Okay, if anyone is sitting there at their computers being like, he compared her to Gorilla Monsoon, it's like, dude, do your homework. She is the Gorilla Monsoon of female commentators. She's a pioneer. She's great at telling the stories.
And she can still work in the ring.
And she can still show up and outwork 99. She's like Wayne Gretzky. Okay,
yep.
Wayne Gretzky on his worst day was still 99% better than every single person on the ice. And guess what?
And Beth
showed up at the Women's Royal Rumble and did it.
And Beth Phoenix proved it, because she showed up in the Women's Royal Rumble, got her head busted open, and still lasted until literally the final 3.
Yeah, and not just busted her head open. Beth Phoenix's beautiful, long, blonde, curly hair
was gushing.
Looked like she had a red Undertaker mullet from 1990.
Yep.
Like, the back of her head was just blood-soaked.
Yep.
And you saw it on every woman that was working with her, that their arms were just smeared with blood. I thought it was Charlotte Flair. I thought Charlotte busted her face open. Lo and behold, hell no. It's Beth Phoenix being Beth Phoenix.
Yeah, because they had there was the corner spot that Beth was doing where she's on the top rope and got pushed back and her head slammed into the top of the post, and next thing you know, it's just red.
It's a faucet. It's a Dustin Rhodes Double or Nothing water faucet of blood coming out the back of her. her head.
Yeah.
And you know what? I will tell you honestly, you know what, one of the cutest that this is cute, okay? Because we're talking about a cute wrestling couple here.
Yeah.
You want to know what one of my favorite parts of that was? The next night, the next day, Beth Phoenix on Twitter tagged Edge in a post and said, hey, Sunday night, hey, hon, I've got a babysitter. What are you doing tonight? And underneath it was a picture of Edge coming out at the Rumble and Beth Phoenix coming out at the Rumble.
Yep.
And it's like, you know what? I don't care. There's some cuteness. It's cute. I mean, granted, her head was bloody and all wrecked, and Edge looked shredded. Like, Edge looked great.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But, I mean...
And then you gotta look at it. The next night on Raw, Edge makes his return. Edge is cutting the promo and talking about the what ifs and everything, and then Randy Orton comes out. And there had been whispers and rumors that it's going to be Edge versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania and whatever. Yeah. And I was kind of like, well, that kind of would be cool, but Randy's going to have to turn heel.
Yes.
And I was like, for that to work. And I even told friends, people were like texting me, they're like, yo, what's going to happen with Randy or Edge? I'm like, well, one of two things is going to happen. One, they're going to reform rated RKO and go
against the brothers.
And go against somebody. Or Randy's going to turn heel and make you absolutely hate him like Randy Orton can. And you're going to have a primo WrestleMania match. And what happened? RKO turned absolutely heel and made you absolutely hate him. And what was one of the greatest moments of wrestling in the past 5 years as far as storytelling, because of the psychology and the behind it.
Randy Orton, I think, gets overlooked.
Oh, absolutely.
The reason I feel Randy Orton... So let's talk about this segment. Was it one of the best segments on Monday Night Raw in the last 5 years? Oh, hands down. I will agree. Probably one of the most legitimately shocking moments since Seth Rollins turned on the Shield.
Yes.
Okay? Legitimately shocking, because I think all the fans were like, oh, wait until Jon Moxley turns heel. Wait until Dean Ambrose turns heel. I don't think anyone expected Seth Rollins.
No, nobody expected Seth Rollins.
I sure shit didn't, because I knew of Jon Moxley on the Indies, and I'm thinking, oh, he's gonna go crazy, and it's gonna be great. I guess I was wrong. The one thing that I can say is, it was legitimately shocking that Randy turned heel, because I'm like, well, he's having such a good feud with AJ and the Good Brothers and the OC. I'm like, they would kind of suck. And then they took it to another level.
Yep.
Because you understood as a wrestling fan that any kind of attack on Edge, his back, his neck area, is a potential for injury. Much like when Daniel Bryan showed up and said, I'm back, and the first thing you do is he gets pop-up power bombed onto the ring apron.
Yep.
You're thinking in your head, you're like, this dude just came back. What the F are you doing?
Yeah, and the thing is Randy Orton hit the RKO.
Yep.
And then...
Which could have been fine.
Yeah, probably fine. And then looked like he was going to do the neck chair stomp, but did that, changed it, and then did the one-man concerto. Which,
Edge's ability, once again, Edge let's go with now is one of the best storytellers when he is a face in making you feel his pain.
Yep.
Okay? Edge can get you, just like Randy Orton, Edge can turn on a dime and make you hate him, or he can turn on a sharp corner and make you love him. Like, people make fun of the Big Show for the heel face thing.
Yeah.
Edge and Randy Orton were doing it way longer before anyone noticed the Big Show was doing it every other month.
Yeah.
But I think that goes down to the respect that we have for them as performers, that they can play our emotions like a fiddle.
Yep.
And have us root for them. Like, you look at Randy Orton as a face. Okay, when he lost the title to The Miz, when The Miz cashed in, one of the hot, like, still to this day, Miz Girl is one of those internet memes.
Yep.
Where, that moment wasn't just because The Miz cashed in and the girl didn't like it. The Miz cashed in on Randy Orton, who at that time was a super baby face.
Yes.
But then you fast forward a couple years, like a year and a half prior, he was RKOing Stephanie McMahon while Triple H was handcuffed to the ropes and he was kissing her on the face while she's unconscious like Bill Cosby.
Yep.
Like, dude, this is a guy who can make you love him or hate him. Same as Edge. So
at any moment.
Am I pumped for Edge versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania in Tampa, Florida this year? Hell yeah. Hell yeah, I'm ready for that match. Do you know why? Because I trust Randy Orton to go out there and work with someone who needs to be protected.
Yep. And the thing is Edge and Orton are friends. Mm-hmm. Because they traveled the road together when they were rated RKO. So they trust each other. And I'm sorry to say this, Randy Orton's probably one of the safest workers in the WWE.
Randy Orton, okay, and so now this gets into, which was probably inevitable. Let me ask you, Pat G, I'm putting you on the spot.
All right.
I probably knew this spot was coming. I got you as your co-host. Top 3 matches that you want to see Edge wrestle. Go.
Well, we know we're getting Orton.
Okay, Orton doesn't count.
Go. Okay. Daniel Bryan.
Ooh.
Finn Balor. And Andrade.
All good picks. All great picks.
Because of the Andrade thing, you could throw Beth Phoenix into it.
Ooh, I didn't even think of Betty Phoenix being thrown into this. Nice. All 3 of those matches would be a straight fire. Especially with heel Finn Balor at NXT recently.
Yes. And
Daniel Bryan would definitely give a Rey Mysterio, Chris Benoit vibe in working with Edge, or even an Eddie Guerrero. So I'm all for all of those matches. All of those are good matches too. Nice picks for his first year back. So I have 3 picks that are completely different.
All right.
Okay. First one is Aleister Black. And the reason I say Aleister Black is that Edge was asked in one of the ENC's Pod of Awesomeness Q&As that they do from Twitter.
Oh yeah.
Who would you guys work if you were around today? And Edge straight up said, Aleister Black. He loves the look. He loves Aleister Black's style. He thinks that his style and Aleister Black's would mesh well. Give Aleister Black the rub and give Edge a dream match that he'd want.
Yeah.
Number 2, AJ Styles. I think that would just be, pun intended, phenomenal.
Yeah. And that builds off the interaction in the Rumble, because AJ Styles did come out. AJ Styles did take an injury. He did separate his shoulder, but AJ Styles came out and said that it wasn't Edge's fault. It was his own fault because he over-rotated and ended up landed wrong on his shoulder. So if you really want to, you can if AJ's the heel, AJ could be like, yo, you hurt me in the Rumble.
And they could play off that. They don't have to say, oh, well, didn't you already say this? You could be like, yeah, I was giving the old man credit. You know what? No, I want you at SummerSlam. Boom.
Yeah.
And the third and final person that I would like to see him wrestle is, this is going to be a biggie, not Big E Langston. To me, it's the Battle of the Spears. Roman Reigns versus Edge.
I like it.
Roman Reigns can say one thing over Edge that Edge can't. Yo, I beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania. You didn't.
True.
Edge can say, you stole my move. Boom. You know, like, you got over because you had long hair and you stole my spear. And you do it worse than me. So, like...
Yeah.
To me, those would be the three matches I'd like to see after Randy Orton.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say this. We're not taking a break because we're punched for time a little bit, so we're not going to take a break. It'll be one of the few times we don't take a break. Get over it. Whatever.
Marathon!
If you can listen to Bruce Pritchard and Eric Bischoff talk for 2 hours, you can listen to us talk for an hour.
Yeah, I mean, and not only that, but I mean, I swear I won't say the naughtiest word anymore. So here we go. I'm getting scolded by my girlfriend for saying it too much. So no more F-bombs. I will only say F.
Oh, you know what? I have to send you the thing that I saved from Facebook where it's like all the different words you could say because somebody shared it on Facebook. I can't remember who. And the thing that Sylvester used to say, somebody, one of the Looney Tunes used to say, like Jumpin' Jehoshaphat was on it. And I was like, yo, Looney Tunes used to say that. I love it.
That's it. We're stealing it. It's officially ours. Screw you, Sylvester. Jumpin' Jehoshaphat. So, let me ask you a question.
All right.
We're going to continue on with talking about the Rumble. We have to acknowledge the female winner of the
Oh yeah. I was going to bring to that. I was going into that.
How do you feel? How do you feel that Charlotte Flair, who, if you go back and you listen to what we said a couple weeks ago, you and I didn't even mention Charlotte.
No, we didn't.
We didn't even acknowledge Charlotte.
No.
I hate to say what I'm about to say, we as wrestling fans, I think have come to accept the fact that Charlotte has won everything.
Yep.
Except the Rumble until a week and a half ago.
Yep. And on top of that, when she came out the next night on Raw and cut her promo and said she's going to challenge for a championship, my heart dropped a little bit because this was way before the internet that I had read the internets. Okay, is Bianca, going back to the Rumble, Bianca Belair had a hell of a Rumble. She raised her stock tenfold, okay?
Much like Rhea Ripley did last year when she was in the Rumble.
Yes. Shayna Baszler raised her stock even more by the performance she had.
Oh my God, I popped when she walked out.
Oh, so did I. Charlotte Flair winning gave Charlotte Flair just another accolade. But then the next night on Raw, when Charlotte cut the promo and said she's going to challenge for a championship, my heart dropped. Because I knew exactly what was going to happen. Charlotte Flair is going to challenge for the NXT championship.
Now, why do you think, as a fan and someone who's been around the business, why do you think WWE is leaning in the direction of Charlotte Flair, who has headlined a WrestleMania, main evented a WrestleMania?
Yep.
Okay. She was involved in the big match in Dallas, the triple threat.
Yep.
Against Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks.
Yep.
She competed in the first Hell in a Cell match. She's now officially won a Women's Royal Rumble. She's a former NXT women's champion. Why do you think they're going this route? Do you think it is because they plan on Shayna leaving NXT and coming up? Or do you think that they want Charlotte on NXT to raise the stock of the women's division and maybe put her in a role of future producer like they are with Ciampa?
I think it's a twofold thing. It's not so much as because Shayna's going to come up. Shayna's going to come up regardless.
Yeah.
Okay? I think it's a twofold because, one, you're going to bring name value to NXT, the NXT women's division. And on top of that, they're worried about AEW.
Okay.
And like I said, this was before I read all of the this was before I read any of the internets. This was like, Royal Rumble happened, Charlotte won, I watched the rest of the Rumble, went to bed, got up the next morning at 7:30, got up, shower, ate, went to work, wasn't on my phone at work because not allowed, got off at work at 5, came home, did a couple things, whatever, hadn't really looked at the phone or anything. Made dinner and watched Raw. Texted some people and stuff, but I hadn't checked anything wrestling related on my phone. And then Charlotte cut that promo, and I'm just going, she's gonna challenge Rhea. They're doing it because they need somebody with star name value because they're afraid of AEW. 3 days later, there's the reports. She's challenging Rhea Ripley, and they're worried about AEW, the ratings on Wednesday nights versus AEW.
So, can I ask you, the one thing that I feel as a wrestling fan that AEW seriously lacks is a credible women's division against NXT.
Oh, absolutely.
NXT, if you would compare the women's rosters, okay, NXT versus AEW, okay? You have so many great... You could have an NXT women's show. Just the women.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
Versus the handful of female competitors on AEW television, AEW programming. It doesn't seem like women's wrestling is necessarily a priority on their 2-hour block on AEW. That's not a knock on them at all. It just doesn't come across to me that the women hold as much high standard as the women on NXT. Shayna Baszler, okay, got one of the loudest ovations of the night. Unless you watch NXT, you wouldn't know who she was. But still, the moment she drew
trust me,
30, people freaked.
Yep, there was, because the one group chat that I'm in with friends of mine that are wrestling fans, that some of them are fair weather wrestling fans, some of them are WWE fans, some of them know about AEW and whatever, but if you, like, the amount of people that were coming out during the Women's Royal Rumble, and the questions were like, yo, Pat, who's this? Candice LeRae from NXT, Dakota Kai, NXT, Bianca Belair, NXT. Well, we don't watch NXT. We'll start watching NXT.
You better start watching NXT, because if you're a fan of Charlotte, Becky, Sasha, and Bayley, and Paige, you can thank NXT.
Yeah. I told him, I'm like, that's where Charlotte, Becky, Bayley, and Sasha came from. That's where Paige came from. How do you not know what NXT is?
Yeah.
It was the thing of, like, I get the WWE, it's WrestleMania season, plain and simple. It's WrestleMania season, okay?
Yep.
If you really look at it, AEW has won the ratings war on Wednesday night since day one, basically. Yeah, there's been one or two times where they've tied, but AEW has primarily had the advantage. You want to know why? Because
I'm all ears.
one, AEW's live for 2 hours. That's it. You don't have the option of going to the WWE network going to a random network and watching AEW stream the next day like you do NXT.
So do you feel that it would behoove WWE to either say NXT is exclusively on USA to make it must-see television?
Honestly,
or do you think that NXT needs to draw a guy like Charlotte Flair and maybe a couple of other of the performers down to NXT level in order to boost up the talent and go against NXT? AEW.
Honestly, I think you may need to boost the talent. Because if you're not going to make because the way WWE does it right now is the Raw and SmackDown shows are a month behind what's actually happening live. Like, say tonight's episode of Raw 2/3/2020. If you go to the Raw channel on the Raw subject on WWE Network, your show's at the beginning of January.
Yeah.
So unless WWE wants to do that with NXT, where NXT's a month behind, which is fine, then keep NXT where it is. Or you need to start bringing some more name flavor to NXT, aka Charlotte Flair, aka other people that you may not use on the main roster.
Now, one of the things that unfortunately has happened, at least for me, okay, all of this is a grain of salt. So if anyone doesn't like my opinion on it, take it with a grain of salt, whatever. There comes a point in wrestlers' careers, especially in WWE, where there's an oversaturation of that person. Okay, we got it with John Cena. Okay, we got it with Triple H. We see a star so much that we kind of take them for granted, and every once in a while they need a revamping. Okay, when Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks and Bayley came up, okay, all of them have had phenomenal runs on the main roster. Okay, all of them have done phenomenal work. Okay, Becky Lynch is officially the man. Okay, she is recognizable to even your non-wrestling fans. It's, oh, that's Becky Lynch. Strangely enough, I see the man shirts out in public like I do the Austin 316 and then the NWO shirts. Okay? Becky's got a following. Okay? Sasha Banks has revamped herself. Bayley has revamped herself. Maybe, in my opinion, Charlotte Flair has done everything there is to possibly do. Maybe they need to look at the longevity of a Charlotte Flair. Maybe they need to...
I think Charlotte Flair...
need to look at it.
I think Charlotte Flair needs to do what Finn Balor has done. Go back to
NXT and
go back to NXT and maybe reinvent yourself a little bit.
And Prince Balor.
Yes, Prince Balor.
Prince Balor has added a new dimension to his character. I mean, his performance at Worlds Collide was nothing less of stellar, okay? His future match against Johnny Gargano is going to be probably one of the best matches of 2020, okay? And we have yet to see Finn Balor open up on all cylinders down there. Maybe her going against Rhea Ripley and bringing her to WrestleMania. This should not be a TakeOver Tampa event. This needs to take place on the main stage of WrestleMania. Bring that NXT Women's Championship up to the big show on Sunday and say, ladies and gentlemen, here you go. This is as big as it's going to get. You have this woman who a couple years ago, when NXT UK was formed, and let's not forget who's running NXT UK. Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels.
Yep.
You have to believe that Shawn Michaels is at least rooting for or pushing for this match to take place, because he knows what Charlotte Flair can do and he knows what Ribbon can do. And if we can get this match mid-WrestleMania, not even mid-WrestleMania, put it match number 2 like Asuka and Charlotte had a couple years ago, and have every single match after that have to follow that, because we got spoiled that WrestleMania.
Yeah, we did.
We had a dank-ass triple threat match to start off with Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, and The Miz.
Yep.
And then match number 2
was Charlotte and Asuka.
We got spoiled.
Yeah. And the thing the thing with Charlotte is, I say Charlotte needs a revamp because Charlotte has become essentially the female version of her father.
Yes. That is 100% accurate. That is the most accurate statement that I've heard.
And there's nothing wrong with that, because she is Ric Flair's daughter. Understandable. But Cody Rhodes has become something different from his father. Dustin Rhodes became something different than his father. The Rock became something different than his father.
Yep. Bret Hart, Owen Hart became different than all of the other Harts.
Yeah. Other people that Eddie Guerrero, Chavo Guerrero became different than their fathers.
Yep.
Rey Mysterio, same thing. You have all these people that have this amazing family lineage as far as wrestling goes. Charlotte needs to revamp into something that for herself. You know what? Keep the Queen thing. It works for you. That's fine. But don't act like your dad.
To that point, even in WCW, NWA, and WWE, Ric Flair's baseline character was always the same. The kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limousine riding, jet flying, woo, son of a gun.
Yep.
Who kissed the ladies and made them all cry. But with that being said, Ric Flair would have the Horsemen. Ric Flair would have, matches like Antonio Inoki over in Tokyo.
Yep.
To me, there is a lot of these potential matches that are out there for her to have. And I do feel that if we're going to get Shayna Baszler versus Charlotte Flair, it's got to be on Baszler's terms, and it's got to be in NXT. And I think that's a money match that all of us want to see. Yes, do we want to see the man, Becky Lynch, go against Shayna Baszler?
Everybody at the end of the day wants the horsewomen versus the horsewomen, end of point. And
we're not going to get it because two of them hate each other, and two of them can team up together.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I'm
gonna say this: the only way that you're ever going to get a horsewomen versus horsewomen match in the WWE, NXT, wherever, in the WWE universe and whatever, the only way that's going to happen is if one side of if the four on one side attack the other four on the same side.
Yeah.
Like if there's a time where it's Survivor Series, like before Survivor Series, and Becky, Charlotte, Bayley, and Sasha are all fighting over the damn titles, and the Ronda, Shayna, Jessamine Duke, and Marina Shafir come out and they just waylay them and done. There you go. Then you get your match. Until that happens, it ain't gonna happen.
No, and I mean Ronda Rousey is very happy not being around any kind of combat sports right now. If you follow her on social media, she's pretty content with being on her farm with her goats and just
watching.
Yeah, she's content with that. To me, the big thing is that something that can happen? next year? Shit, yes, it can happen next year. It can absolutely happen next year, or maybe a year later. You know, we don't necessarily need it right now. We've already had it teased before. Not
to mention, yeah, we've had it teased, but you got to also remember, Jessamyn Duke and Marina Shafir haven't really been built up enough.
No, and I mean, if you look at the combination of women that would be in this match, okay? Charlotte Flair, the man Becky Lynch, the boss Sasha Banks, Bayley, Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler. Who are the other two in comparison to those women?
Exactly.
Shayna Baszler is the longest tenured NXT Women's Champion as of today.
Yep.
Okay? She did it. She's no longer champion. Okay? Ronda Rousey showed up at WrestleMania a couple months later, had the championship, lost it at the following WrestleMania, main evented WrestleMania. Okay? The original WWE Horsewomen, there are so many titles between those four women.
And accolades.
It's unprecedented in women's wrestling that we have even seen one woman to do that.
Yep.
Let alone four.
Yeah.
Let alone four women at the same exact time.
Yep.
So to me, the way that I view it, honestly, Rhea versus Charlotte. Give me that match.
Rhea versus Charlotte, Shayna versus Becky, and Bayley versus whoever.
Yeah, Bayley versus Sasha. Why not?
Honestly, that's who I think it's going to be.
Yeah,
because nothing against Lacey Evans. She's not there yet.
Give her another year, and she could be.
Oh yeah,
I think her being heel Lacey Evans going against the man, and unfortunately, it was a Goldberg effect. Her character was over. Her ring work wasn't ready.
Nope.
And everyone saw it.
Yep.
She's improved vastly.
Oh yeah.
Over where she was a year ago, but her character got over way more
than the ring work did.
And
now the ring work's slightly better, and face Lacey Evans isn't as over as heel bit Lacey Evans.
Not yet. I mean, it'll honestly take a catalyst, a good push.
Oh yeah.
To do that. But to be blunt, I see her as champion, not right now. Much like I still see Braun Strowman as WWE champion someday.
Yeah.
Right now, we got him as Intercontinental champion.
Yep, hey, which I'm perfectly fine with.
He's been a tag champion. He's been an Intercontinental champion. There's only one more belt after that. Or one more level up after that.
Yep.
It's either Universal or Heavyweight.
Yep.
So we'll see where that lands us. But no, as far as Charlotte versus Rhea, I'm with you. I think that it would be a shot in the arm that they need against AEW in this Wednesday night ratings war. And honestly, it would take an already incredible women's division, and it would give it an even bigger boost.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, moving on to as we getting close to wrapping up here, it's time to talk about the WWE and their lovely policy about things, because earlier today it was reported via Fightful.com that WWE basically the last couple of days they've been telling their recruits at the Performance Center certain things of what not to do. Don't talk to dirt sheet writers. Don't talk to main roster people. Don't do this. Don't call out people on the internets or social media. Like,
bro,
someone did.
Bro.
And then during the Royal Rumble, there was confrontations.
Bro.
And there was a confrontation with a certain bro that we know, and a certain beast that we know.
Bro.
And the beast essentially put it to put it to the thing of the Beast and the Bro will never work together, plain and simple.
Ever.
Done.
Apparently.
Never happening. Get it out of your mind.
Now, to address this story, the King of Bros, Matt Riddle, arguably has one of the best UFC knockouts of all time on The Ultimate Fighter.
He does.
Okay. Here is a guy who threw his hat in pro wrestling, worked on his craft, developed a character that people gravitate to. This is also a man who, in a lot of aspects, is still in the mixed martial arts mentality.
Yep.
Where you call out who you want to face.
Yep.
You call them out. Conor McGregor and Cowboy has been brewing for years. And we finally got it.
Yeah, all 40 seconds of it.
Yo, I'm sorry he cracked his orbital with his shoulder.
Yep.
I don't give a shit. That hurt. Anyway.
Yeah.
That hurt, and Conor McGregor hugged his grandma. Sweet moment.
Yes.
But anyway, I digress. Brock Lesnar is at a level, okay, in wrestling, where if he doesn't want to work with someone,
You don't have to work with someone.
he doesn't have to work with someone. If he doesn't want to show up, if he's slated to work with someone, I'm pretty sure Brock would go elk hunting with his bare hands instead of working with someone. Do I think that Matt Riddle versus Brock Lesnar would be a cool match? Yup.
Absolutely.
Do I think that Matt Riddle is at the point in his professional wrestling career with World Wrestling Entertainment that would be a match that'll happen? Nope. It's not for lack of talent. Matt Riddle has clearly been pushed. And I mean, he just won the Dusty Rhodes, Tag Team Invitational. Pete Dunne, great team.
Yep.
Great teamwork there.
The Broserweights.
The Bruiserweight. I think there is a lot of potential for Matt Riddle in NXT.
Yep.
But Brock Lesnar is at a level where Brock Lesnar is limited in dates, shows up, does his stuff, leaves. Okay? We were shocked when he worked with Finn Balor last January. Infinitely shocked, because Brock Lesnar kind of had this weird policy where he didn't want to work with small guys.
Yep.
But yet, all of a sudden, he works with someone like Daniel Bryan and realizes, there's something to be had here.
I can have good matches with these guys.
I can have good matches with these guys. So he works with a Finn Balor. And Finn Balor in that match looked like he should be WWE champion again.
Yep.
Okay? Brock Lesnar sold shit right and left for that guy. Brock Lesnar can have a match with anyone he wants to and make it great. There is the catch-22. Brock Lesnar is at a level where if he wants to have a great match with you, he will.
Yep. Well, this was the thing. There were numerous reports from the backstage area. There was one from Fightful. There was one from Alex McCarthy of TalkSport, and essentially it was put out. Brock Lesnar was the wrong one to F with, and Lesnar actually informed Riddle of this and whatnot. And Lesnar essentially approached Riddle, tapped him on his shoulder, and said, "Kid, you might as well stop saying my name and tagging me in shit, because you and I will never work together, ever." And Booker T, of all people, which Booker T is very, very knowledgeable in sports, in pro wrestling, talked about it on his podcast, or talked about on whatever, and brought up the point of, this isn't the UFC. Like, you can't just keep calling people out and about who you want to fight and whatnot, because this ain't the UFC. Like, it's not so much where you see guys talking smack to each other and back and forth and whatnot and make something of it like him and Corey Graves did. because it's a whole different animal.
Which, I think that Matt Riddle is still in that mix, that MMA talk.
Oh, yeah.
Mindset. I 100% like that. Don't get me wrong. Conor McGregor got over because he talked shit about every single human being that walked the earth. My big thing with this is this one of those deals where WWE could kill off a potential main event match because they don't want to have their top draw upset? Is it good for business to kill this idea right now when 2 years down the road, Matt Riddle could be a good match for Brock Lesnar?
Oh, absolutely. Like, this is the thing, is Matt Riddle has only been in NXT, what, a year? A little over?
A year and a half, maybe.
Year and a half?
Maybe a year and a half.
Okay. Matt Riddle comes from a very known background in the UFC, okay? The knockouts and everything. But Brock Lesnar, you look at the resumes. Look at the resumes. Simple as that. It's the same thing of... It's the quote-unquote cliche thing of that used to like go around, that I used to hear when I'd travel with people in the independent wrestling circuit. Who have you beat? Like that cliche team of who have you beat?
Yeah.
And to be honest, Matt Riddle really hasn't beaten anybody.
No, he had a great match with Finn Balor a couple months back. But you're absolutely right. He has not gone up against any major names in NXT and even outside of NXT.
He's had good matches against Finn Balor. He had a good match against Adam Cole. But you haven't outside of Survivor Series and the Royal Rumble, you haven't gone up against anybody on the big circuit.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, could it be a few years from now when he has a great match with Brock Lesnar, or potentially could? Sure. But who's to say Brock Lesnar is going to be around in a couple years? So you've spun your gears talking shit only to not get a payday out of it.
Yep.
And I mean, it happens in professional wrestling. You lay up a plan, you think it's going to work, and it fizzles, or guys leave, or guys get hurt. I've been open and adamant. The one match I wished I would have had in my wrestling career was, on the independents, was Sean Carr. Sean Carr is an amazing athlete. I would have loved to have had a run with him. But my last year wrestling, he wasn't around. Didn't happen. Not going to lose sleep over it.
Yeah.
But Brock Lesnar, we all know that when it comes to his contract negotiations, Brock Lesnar, it is difficult to peg to see where he's going to land next. I mean, there have even been rumors of him going to NXT at the end of his contract. Or not NXT, AEW.
Yep.
So, I mean, for a match or two, for probably a huge amount of money.
There's talks that Chris Jericho might end up back in the WWE once his run with AEW is over.
Yeah, I mean, who knows how this is going to go? But you look at the way Matt Riddle is doing it. I love the fact that he's talking shit and he wants to get this match. Because I do think it's not only a I want to retire Brock Lesnar thing, which I think deep down inside he knows ain't happening. But he knows it's also a big money draw match.
Yep.
Fans of UFC would want to see this.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Every fan of combat sports would want to see that match.
Yeah. I mean, it's the King of Bros versus the Beast Incarnate.
So it's one of them things of, if you really look at the wrestling thing, is WWE is on the road to WrestleMania. They're basically, it's basically been reported that Drew McIntyre and Brock Lesnar are going to be the main event. They're going to be the important match of WrestleMania. There's not so much more brought on as far as who's going to face the Fiend or whatever, because Vince McMahon has pretty much said McIntyre versus Lesnar is the money match. Plain and simple. So that's going to be the match they focus on. That's going to be the match that's talked about. But you also got to look at the wrestling scenery, because you have ROH, who's been making moves. Granted, ROH is probably like a super indie type deal right now. Impact is Impact. AEW's AEW. Yes, AEW's got their pay-per-view coming up next weekend.
I believe it is next weekend, yes.
Yeah, next weekend, I believe, where you're gonna have Cody Rhodes versus MJF. No, later this month. Excuse me, that's right. Yeah, it's later this month.
Le Champion versus Moxley.
Yeah, you're gonna have the tag title match and the women's title match and whatnot. It's the thing of WWE. I guarantee you, Vince McMahon, Triple H, and the other conglomerate of WWE sees all this stuff. But to finish up here, WWE's got bigger problems because they losing money.
Hemorrhaging money as of a recent report after WWE recently released
their presidents.
Several presidents, because Vince McMahon wanted to change.
Yep.
Vince McMahon does this periodically, where Vince McMahon will say, I don't like the way things are going, switch it up. And then WWE lost, depending on the report you read, it's anywhere between $500 million and almost $1 billion.
Yes.
In a day.
Yep.
Depending on the report you're reading. I mean, some of it could be over-exaggeration. Some of it could be just, flat-out lies, but their stock did take one hell of a dip.
Yeah, because they fired their chief financial officer, George Barrios, and Michelle Wilson, who was the chief revenue officer.
Yes, and all of a sudden their revenues drop. Coincidence? Yeah, perhaps. It's, to me, a sign that Vince McMahon wants to change. This could also be a sign, and some people have speculated, that Vince McMahon is setting things up for whomever is taking over his place when he leaves to essentially go run an XFL.
Yeah, that I've heard that report is he's starting to set the dominoes in motion for Triple H, Stephanie, and Shane to take over.
Which, it's nothing unheard of, because Vince McMahon switched things up, has switched things up numerous times. I mean, hell, if you look at the creative over the last year, we had Eric Bischoff running SmackDown behind the scenes. Now we have Bruce Pritchard running SmackDown.
You got you have Paul Heyman, and then on top of it, you look at the change of agents. They've gone from Arn Anderson, Dean Malenko to Shane Helms, Abyss, Rene Dupree. They've gone to guys that wrestled in the 2000s against guys that wrestled in the 70s and 80s and early 90s.
Yep. So to me, it all comes down to change can be good, but change can also be painful.
Yeah.
And financially, WWE has taken it on the chin this week. But, I look at it from a similar way that WWE lost money when Vince announced he was doing XFL again. Okay?
They did.
Vince McMahon has lost money and got money back. I mean, to bring kind of a comical spin to it, like I always do, at least it's not like Elon Musk smoking a joint on the Joe Rogan Experience and the stocks dip, and then the next day they're triple their value because Elon Musk became cool and everyone wanted Tesla stock.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Vince McMahon probably took a couple deep breaths and was like, well, we'll get it back.
Yeah, because guess what? The XFL starts this weekend.
Exactly. So, I mean, and you have people excited for the XFL. I mean, it's all cyclic. It happens. Change happens all the time. Similar to when Vince McMahon got rid of the people that his father used.
Yep.
And brought in people that he trusted would be able to bring WWF to the masses and really enjoy it. I mean, it happens. They're doing it right now. Agents change all the time. Like you mentioned, it's going to work. WWE is going to recover from this. It's not going to be the financial downfall of Vince McMahon. I mean, if Ted Turner didn't kill Vince McMahon, XFL Part 2 isn't going to kill him.
Yeah, that's very true. One final note. I don't know if you saw it, but on Twitter, somebody posted the match that we deserve: the Edgeheads versus rated Revival KO.
Oh my God! Not only is that the match we deserve, that is the match we need to book for SummerSlam. You heard us, WWE. And send me my Bray Wyatt belt.
Why? I swear to God, if come SummerSlam, it is Edge, Zack Ryder, and Kurt Hawkins versus the Revival and Randy Orton, I'm going to be like, yo, I will. We need to write an email and be like, yo, you got that idea from us. Let's go.
Yeah. Also, where's my Bray Wyatt belt, bitch?
And on that note, we're going to end it here. Thank you for listening to the TTRP. Like I said, I apologize for the no break. I also apologize if Dan sounded funny this week. He's currently moving, so he was on just a normal headset microphone this week, but he'll be back to normal sound next week. Thank you for listening. For Dan, I'm Pat G. This has been the TTRP. Keep it locked, and we will see you on the flip side. The Turnbuckle Talk Radio podcast is brought to you by Gear Network and ShopGear.com. We can be listened to via Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and everywhere else you can get your podcasts. The TTRP introduction was done by Trevor Dugan. The show is hosted by Patrick Gancheski and Daniel Roberts. Post-production of the TTRP is done by Patrick Gancheski and John Cimino. If you'd like to follow us via social media, you can search Turnbuckle Talk Radio Podcast on Facebook. You can follow us at Twitter by using the name Turnbuckle_Talk. Or if you have questions or concerns, you can reach us via email at turnbuckletlkradio@gmail.com. We'd like to thank you for listening to the Turnbuckle Talk Radio Podcast, downloading our episodes, following us on social media, and interacting with us.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.